Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining today, taking valuable time out of your day to listen to us, whether you're live or listening to the recording. Today, we're going to talk about the programmatic ads, specifically for cannabis and the hemp CBD industry. And we always start our webinars with a quote. So here's Joshua Spanier he's Google's marketing director. He's saying that if you're in marketing and you aren't deep into programmatic, then you're behind the times and likely your competition. So Google is all about the ads and advertising on Google. And as you know, in cannabis and CBD, that can be a challenge. So programmatic is not only a great way to get around that, but as Joshua is saying here, it's also another channel that is really up and coming. And you'll see that in the next slides as well. So here again, if you've been part of our webinars over this past year, we always have an introduction with some statistics and just showing the popularity of programmatic advertising and the increase of that popularity in recent years and what it's expected to increase in the future. So if you look at the chart at the right, you'll see just the spend in programmatic digital advertising increasing year over year, and more so, in 2021. I also want to point out on the left side that I'll choose that fourth bullet down. Even though Google is still the biggest ad seller worldwide, its ad revenue is expected to drop in 2020. So an eMarketer estimates that Google's net US digital ad revenue to be $39 billion in 2020 and then a decline of 5.3%. So what that means is this programmatic advertising channel is really picking up. So it's something that you should pay attention to and consider doing for your business. Now we'll start with our agenda, getting into what is programmatic advertising and really how does it work. So programmatic advertising is something that you've probably seen, but you may not have known it as programmatic advertising. Typically, they're display ads, and they're generated automatically using machines and algorithms to automatically look at user behavior and push ads that are relevant to that user. So how does it work? You have an internet user, he's browsing a website, he might leave the website, and then you have record that that person was on your website, and the programmatic ad will automatically send in a banner advertisement at some time in the near future to that user to retarget them. So this is done, again, through the automation and the algorithms, looking at the user behavior, considering their location, their demographics, their engagement level, looking at all of those relevant data to target them. Programmatic TV, this isn't a part of the programmatic advertising, direct to consumer services like Amazon and Netflix, right? So I'm sure many of you have been on, for example, I know I have been on Amazon. I'll be browsing around, kind of shopping in Amazon, looking at different products or items that I'm interested in. And then later on, I'll come back to my computer and I'll see some pop-ups of those types of products or maybe other products that are similar. So in that way, um, the consumer is retargeted on those platforms such as Amazon and Netflix. The native ads, these are kind of, they're kind of cool. I'm interested in the native ads because, and they're called native because they actually have like a very similar look and feel to the website that you might be browsing at the time. So a native ad is an advertisement that to, to the interested user actually doesn't even look like an advertisement. So that's what's so compelling about them, is that it doesn't look like an ad, and you'll click on something, on an image that interests you, and then you'll see that it's an ad. Programmatic videos, these are real important, especially in the cannabis and the CBD space, because with cannabis and CBD, you're really selling a feeling, an experience, or an emotion. And videos really allow you to express an experiential, um, happening. People, you can have a video that shows people who are relaxed, for example, enjoying themselves. And there's different types of videos that you can, you have the in-stream video, the outstream video, and the in-banner. I think the most notable one, or the most popular one, is the in-stream, where you're on a website, and the in-stream you see a video, you click on the video, and an ad will come up initially, and then you'll see the video content that you wanted. That's the in-stream video. Next slide. Now we're going to get into the trends of programmatic buying in 2021. Okay, so over the top, or OTT services, have really grown. As you can see, some of the stats here, 67% of these reach across homes, 62 million households have used OTT. And this is mainly, the OTT is mainly used for the retargeting. And actually what it does is it bypasses cable and broadcast, and like the name is, it's over the top. So again, these are ads that you don't even recognize as ads, but they are. It's kind of like a subliminal thing. Next. Okay. Then connected TV, to the programmatic ads on the connected TV. So these are, ways that you can target the audiences. So for example, I'm sure most of you have heard of Roku is, a connected TV. And the thing about this is that you can really target by platform the demographic of the exact audience that you're trying to reach with your product. And the other thing that's good about the connected TV is that, of course, it uses videos. And like I was explaining before, videos are really compelling, especially for the cannabis and the CBD space. Then we're talking about mobile in terms of programmatic buying. I mean, time and time again, we see how mobile is, the preferred media for, folks who are especially interested in cannabis and CBD products. And, just increasingly, everybody's on their mobile device. So it's really important to have, optimal mobile speed. You see this, the statistic down here where mobile has 68% share of the digital ad spending. And the chart on the right shows how, the mobile usage is increasing year over year and will continue to increase. So it's really important to have good mobile speed and, of course, use mobile for your programmatic ads. Then podcasts. Podcasts are another very getting more and more popular in terms of a media that people are comfortable with. Consuming information and exposing themselves to podcasts. So it's important also to look at podcasts in terms of another channel for your programmatic advertising. Next slide. Okay. Now we're going to hand it over to Varun, who's going to explain more about the benefits of programmatic advertising, as well as give some client examples, which are always exciting to hear about those. Varun?
Thank you, Lauren. So, thanks for giving us great insight on programmatic ads. So we can maybe dive deeper into it. As Lauren was talking about the programmatic, this is something that is like a next gen ad system. So this is a very significant advantage. It has significant advantage over the Google, or I will say other campaigns, because this has a very I will say algorithmic nature, where you can not only target consumers based on the various targetings, like for example Lauren was talking about, like for your geographies, your interest, your behavior, your kind of age group, and all these features can be automated in a way, and we can have very detailed technical reports that can give us insights on, like for example, by hour, by days, and by time of the day, and as like by geography, each and every detail can be I think tracked and can be seen. So right now, this example from one of our campaign we are doing, like we are seeing that how many impressions, clicks, conversions are being tracked by days, and how much revenue is being achieved by doing that. And so total conversions, total revenue, and clicks and impressions are being tracked. So there's a lot of data that we have got from of our client, but we can get into more detail if you want to get into more detail. So there's no limit in terms of uh, doing the data crunching, and there are systems who can do the data crunching. For example, there's a big data that can be applied, and we can put the KPIs metrics that is important and relevant for your business, and we can track it continuously. Adam will talk more in detail how do we use big data and AI systems that can be built around your specific campaigns and business. So overall efficiency, when you talk about efficiency, so in terms of programmatic, the I think most relevant, if like I was efficient metrics I have seen is the cost, because when we do manual campaign around the channels, for example, that are Google, Bing, or Yahoo, the issue is you are a person is driving the whole campaign, and when you are not looking into the campaigns at the time, you may lose some kind of a cost, and also the changes that are required to be made uh, when you are not looking, they might cost you a bit. So I would say there are some ways to handle that in Google or other channels, but I would say it's not totally automated like it is in programmatic. So where machine is, I would say, optimizing your whole campaign, and it gives you more efficiency because everything is based on the KPIs you are setting up, based on the matrices that you are tracking, and they are being driven by the machines, and AI based machines have their own KPIs to either lower the spend or increase the spend based on the hours, based on the geography, based on the behavior. Everything is being driven by the uh, decision by the machines, is based backed by AI engine. So efficiency increases and your cost decreases. So that is the, I think, one of the uh, feature that I can say is good in programmatic. So it's like some free time. So that is again, I think it will be more like, when you set up a campaign. I think the initial stage, it's very challenging for you to find out the right kind of target audience and right kind of I will say the tracking the uh, each campaign based on various KPIs, and this is very time consuming in beginning, but once you set all the things, then probably you can just optimize campaign. A machine can keep optimizing the campaigns over a period of time. So once you look at over a period of time, then you will find that you can be free in terms of not managing it continuously in that way. So this is something that's better to focus. So you get more time to brainstorm on new campaign ideas and launch simultaneously to improve the performance. So this is something better than the other campaigns that we do at a manual level. Then micro targeting and Uber segmentation. So this is something that there's like so this is for example when we have a targeting and do the segmentation of the users in campaigns that are run manually uh, and and versus when we do programmatic advertising, there are a lot of difference. For example, you can see in the example here, if you have a, for example, in Google, if you set up a campaign that says your age group is 18 plus and 18 plus, and you possibly take 18 to 24, and then there are the limitations say 18 to 24, 24 to maybe it's like 24 to 30 and 35, 30, 30 to 35, 35 to 40. So they have the big segments over here, but in programmatic, you can reduce that up to a very micro category of, for example, 25 to 26 as a age category. And then you can also have a targeting based on, for example, some we have a specific audience that wants to quit smoking. So we have a list of those users who can be targeted for a brand that wants to target only the customers who want to quit smoking, or some kind of customers who are just like a vape shoppers, people who have bought vapes maybe in last 30 days. We can maybe retarget those users. So this is a very micro targeting and over segmentation that we can do on the programmatic side that may not be possible when you're talking about Google or the channels, because first of all, Google or the channels don't allow you to maybe say anything on cannabis and CBD, but this is something you can mention when you're doing programmatic. Uh, and and I think again, and I will talk in more detail that our solution that we have for programmatic ads, how does it help the cannabis brands to do the micro targeting and the segmentations. So wider audience pool. This is basically is like, when you see a user and you see the whole journey. Possibly someone starts a day, then it's more like you are ready for the day, and you may visit the sites that are probably, for example, they are new sites, or maybe or you have some kind of learning or training to be done on those sites. As you progress towards the day, you might change your behavior to browse different websites, or you might also switch to different kind of devices during the day, or maybe you can go to different platforms. So as Lorna was talking about different OTT platforms, or maybe or devices like, for example, desktop, laptop, or maybe mobile, or you go to the OTT platforms, or maybe you use different websites in the web. So so it's like what happens is you can target uh, those like users across the screens and across the web pages wherever they go, because you are targeting based on the not only based on the cookies, but also based on the devices, and also based on the user behavior in that way. So it allows you to target your campaigns to a wider audience pool rather than being very limited to the uh, just like web within the display, like within some websites in the web. Next is like in touch with customers journey. So as I discussed in the last slide, as user move from one device to another, for example from laptop to desktop to the mobile phone or tablet, you can retarget those users across those I will say devices, and it will allow you to connect with the consumers at the each stage they are and each step they are while the browsing. So you can see one example from our campaigns. We are targeting our users across four devices. There is CTV, desktop, phone, and tablets. And of course, phone is the highest engagement uh, device, as Lauren said. So 67% people use the mobile while they're browsing across the web, or maybe watching some kind of videos. But we have the mechanism to target the customers across the devices. It's like emphasis on non-endemic sites. So non-endemic sponsors or businesses, I think you must have seen that. For example, uh, if you are a cannabis company advertising on an energy website, or maybe something uh, that is like, for example, some kind of a maybe high strength sport. So this may not be directly linked to your business, like cannabis or CBD, but it is something that can indirectly impact your brand. So when we're doing programmatic advertising, we can of course choose those kind of non-endemic sites that can indirectly impact your brand in the overall marketing strategy of yourself. It's not about only targeting the websites that may have your direct consumers, but also uh, the consumers who might be in the non-endemic sites, and you can bring them up to your business and your website. And that is not possible in the Google and all that, because you cannot do the non-endemic advertising on the Google. So now we'll deep dive into the programmatic ads for cannabis brands, and how are we doing it, and some of the examples of the ads we are using for them. This example is showing the ads retargeting, and this you can see in the right side, where you can see there's a banner that is being played on a news site that is on the Mariana news, and you can see the banner on the top that talk about a vape 30% off. This is, and then again in the bottom there's also an ad that has the Argent 320 by 250 banner. That's 30% off. Is a vape kind of advertisement. So you can see that they're using the all messaging like online vape shop. So they're using the keywords like vape. They're able to show the product images that are the real images of vapes that you cannot do in the Google. So this is like retargeting the same consumer who are coming to your website, and when the user goes to different websites, they are being retargeted with the ads that are having the right information and the product description as per your brand. So this is something that you cannot do with Google, but of course with the can programmatic you can do that. On the display and mobile ads, so this is something best for the cannabis and CBD startups, because when you have a new brand, it's very difficult for you to get the consumers on the site, and maybe or get the visibility that you want to get from the channels such as Google, because they're very costly. The cost per click is going to be very costly, and the consumers when they come to your site probably may not get converted because of the I will say the stage of your business, that is because your brand is probably a new brand. So I think it is good to have the retargeting for the your brand, and doing programmatic ads, and maybe retargeting users at every site and app they are going to visit, and probably they provide the same information over a period of time, so that you have a good brand recall and brand visibility, and these they can be retargeted and also brought to your website for conversions. So this is something we can do easily with the programmatic ads at a very lower cost. So next is a video and connectivity advertising. So this is something I would say good for dispensaries, because I think because this is something you can show your business in action while doing the CTV advertising and having a video. Uh, so for example, dispensaries, of course, you want to show some kind of a experience to the users, and how would it look like if you use the products that you have. So you can see this is an example. So this is an example from one of the dispensary client, where they are showing that what is the experience of using the product that is being grown in house, uh, and this is kind of a smoke that a customer is experiencing. So this is kind of thing that you can do while with the programmatic ads and retarget customers on various video and CTV platforms. Then native ads. So I think as Lauren explained earlier, native ads are the ads that are being shown while you are reading any content on any website. For this is an example over here. For example, you're going to a news website and you're reading content. Within the content, there is a sponsored ad that is coming over. For example, this is like sponsored by Outbrain. Similar thing happens when you are doing browsing on the different programmatic ads. Then you might see a kind of a native ad within the content that you are reading. For example, so if you're reading a blog related to cannabis consumption, and you might see an ad that might be on the maybe a vape, or that might be an ad for the smoke, or can be ad for the CBD. So this is something that can be done. Uh, we can play the native ads on the mainstream websites using the programmatic ads. Digital audio ads. So again, I think in the last slide, Lauren was talking about the uh, different podcasts. So I think podcasts are in a very trending kind of a trending kind of situation right now. Everybody uh, is going to, like, a lot of people listen to the podcast very regularly, and there are a lot of users who do that. So as like we can always do ads on the podcast, and we have the inventory specific for CBD brands and cannabis brands. So podcasts related to CBD or cannabis or marijuana or any recreational kind of uh, a business can be targeted. So we can always target those podcasts via programmatic ads. This is an example from one of our cannabis dispensary client. That had a challenge of expanding themselves in the areas of Los Angeles, and they had a very specific targeting around Burbank, or for example on the Santa Clarita or around the Long Beach. So they wanted to like Uber target the users who are in Santa Clarita and who are looking for cannabis delivery, and they have like a maybe quick delivery, and they want to target the users who are looking for cannabis at any point of time. So we target those customers within LA on those locations, and this is the data for last 14 days from 1st March to 14th March, and we spent very less amount of money. I think it was around uh, $2,000 that we spent on the campaign, and you can see the sales that we have received more than 8,000. So the revenue is almost fourfold of the spend that we did. So it's like return is almost 4x on the campaign that we did. And and this is just the revenue, and we also had other goals of tracking, like how many people have viewed the accessories, how many people have viewed the concentrates, edibles, flowers. So this is a very I will say is micro targeting, where we are tracking users at each product stage, and we are retargeting them again with the same product examples and the offers, so that they can be converted uh, uh, maybe in the next window, because we have a targeted window of remarketing, and we can convert them at a later stage. Some examples of the ads that we are doing for that cannabis dispensary client. So you can see the very focused example of cannabis dispensary in Burbank, and skip the line, save your time, shop now. Very simple messaging, and they'll be targeted on the geographies very specific to Burbank. This example for one of the CBD client that we're running this campaign for, and this CBD client has hemp pets, and you can see this is the example. I think this is the rate range is more, but the campaign started on the March 5th. So March 5th to March 16th, I think we got a sale of more than $4,700, almost $5,000 of sales, and 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 I think we spent only around $600 to $700 around in this period, and we have got good sales. So very good revenue that we have seen for this client as well, and they are targeting the users who want to quit smoking, and they want to target those customers specifically, and people who are using vapes. Uh, so very Uber targeting for that brand as well, and very good success. So you can see some examples of those ads we are doing for the client. It's like smokable CBD or hemp advertised that can rebate. Some of the examples over here, the Luna, this was very vape pen. So we are just mentioning everything as CBD or showing the pictures with the hemp pets and the vapes. So that is totally cool with the programmatic ads. The third example is for one of the CBD and hemp smoke client, and this is again for first 14 days of March. And you can see the overall impressions. One is like almost 500,000 impressions, 578 clicks. That is a CDR of 0.11%, uh, and $24,000 of revenue. That is very exciting because this we just spent $2,000 in this period, and we got a sale of $24,000. So this is amazing to see uh, because client was targeting the users who are only, like for example, only are people who want to buy smokes, and people who are smokers, and they are only doing remarketing for the users who come to the website. So there's a very high conversion for the customers because of the reason that they're able to uh, see the ads on various platforms that are there, and we can easily convert them by doing the retargeting ads. Some examples of those ads: CBD pre-roll joins 30% off your first purchase, the code shop now, and again we have all messaging that talks about CBD, and we can show the cigarettes or joints, and can mention the code and shop now, and call to action is a limit period offer. So they have worked very well for our client and got a very good revenue, almost 7 to 8x of return, uh, 8x of return in this month of March. Now next is Spokes Programmatic Ad Solutions. So I will hand it over to Adam. He will talk more about what we have to offer, how are we different, and how can we help consumers, and what are the solutions that we have in programmatic. Adam.
Hey everybody. I'm gonna kind of thanks for the comprehension there, Varun. I'm gonna kind of keep it a little high level while kind of draping into the specifics. We're always happy to dive into the more technically nuanced stuff we're doing, and a lot of the success stories that Varun just showed. Programmatic is really effective in helping amplify success of established e-commerce brands, and then it's particularly very powerful in cannabis context for localized advertisers, because a lot of the audience you're targeting in that finite pool of people are familiar or driving by or have seen your presence either by outdoor, either by traditional, and what we're doing is creating a direct path to that person's device and then tracking that engagement against a sales activity where we can correlate a specific dollar amount of their sales activity and lifetime value against what it costs actually to reach, engage, and track that customer. There's three real pillars. If I was going to simplify programmatic advertising into, okay, well, how do I make it work for me, right? Like, one, who do you want to talk to? And it's topical around the slide that's pulled up. Two, what do you want to talk to them about? And then three, how do we measure it works, right? So, Varun, if we can go back to that previous slide, one is who do you want to talk to? And we talked a lot about targeting people who are in the market for this, or have these specific demographic behaviors, or have visited these locations in the last 7 days or 14 days. These are all big data tools that are available to marketers. And what we need to do as your vendor at Spokes is understand your business, your potential reach, and where your customers are. Obviously, a localized dispensary or a delivery service is quite a bit different than a CBD e-commerce brand that can ship nationally. So understanding who it is you want to talk to, and then working within geofence data, or using your mobile device that you probably all have sitting next to your computer emits a latitude and longitude signal when you're using certain apps or using Bluetooth. A lot of those apps make that data available to marketers such as Spokes to. Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you, Adam.
Oh, sorry. My phone started making wacky sounds. So I thought I was talking to different people. So your phone emits a latitude and longitude signal where we can correlate that to a business address, right? So that's how we understand if a device that belongs to an adult has been at a location. Behavioral targeting. A lot of websites you're probably browsing are sharing that data with advertising folks like Spokes. So if we know you're visiting certain types of websites, we can qualify you as a relevant prospect for the profile you're looking to hit. So a big part of our discovery, if you decide to work with Spokes for any type of digital marketing efforts, will be, okay, like, what is your geographic footprint? Who are your best customers? Who do you want to grow your reach with? Who is the ideal target for your product? And what's cool about cannabis is that it's a lot of things to a lot of different people, which is exciting. So yes, at the end of the day, our job is to sell product for you. But I like to use the analogy that my mom and I are both your best customers, right? My mom is 65, retired, and enjoys an edible on the weekends with her friends. I consume probably a joint every day, every other day of high potency sativa flower. So you're selling, we both live within a radius of your store. You're selling us essentially the same experience, but different products. And the message and the value prop on how cannabis or CBD impacts our lives is very different. So using that data to build that profile, to have that conversation of that's relevant to that person, that will give them that incentive to come to your website and then come back to your website, is really the use of data and that word audience. So you hit the next slide. The term lookalike audience, we do a lot with first party data. So if you have a list of great customers that you're activating all the time, you're reaching all the time, or people you haven't activated in a while and you'd like to invite back to come purchase from you, either in an e-commerce or for a localized retail promotion, or whatever the offer is, we can actually analyze that data and create something called lookalike audiences, where we're looking at things like home address, we're looking at income range, we're looking at gender, we're looking at demographic behaviors associated with the people we know who already like your brand, and then finding more people who look alike those customers, right? So that we can invite similar folks to have your brand experience. And all this goes back to the notion of audience. Like, we're less concerned at the nature of the publisher or the content that we're serving on. We're focused on, is this person aligned with what you're selling? And then how do we reach that person, and how do we test that hypothesis and see if that person that we're targeting, or the different types of personas we're targeting, are aligned with your brand, so that we know where to continue to invest your marketing dollars. Next one, please. Dynamic compliance. This is obviously a bigger one. In CBD, most smokables have a little bit more nuance than just like a topical or an ingestible, but cannabis, particularly creative compliance, creative compliance is very important, right? Knowing what we can or cannot say, represent in the creative, and knowing what needs to be included within the creative at the state level for a cannabis or a CBD brand is a part of working with us. I'll throw, for instance, out in Nevada, you have to include for use of adults 21 years old or keep out of the reach of children, the creative. In California, you need to include the state license number for a cannabis business in every creative asset. And that's how we ensure the compliance. There are broad strokes like not appealing to children, not using cartoons, celebrity endorsements, which is a little bit more ambiguous, or incentive for free product. in addition to when you're promoting these products, but it's understanding all of those factors as it relates to your unique business. All of that data, that audience, away from the demographic component that we're using to identify relevant users, we also need to be able to validate that the audience we're targeting is a certain percentage of 21 years of older and up. In medical cannabis and CBD, it's 18, but for adult use, it's 21. So I'm going to keep in that paradigm because that's the most stringent in terms of managing age compliance. Everybody we're targeting, we have associated to an age in a residence in a privacy compliant manner so that we know 90+% of our audience is a validated adult who is 21 years or older. Massachusetts has the most stringent age audience composition requirement in terms of ensuring that we're only targeting adults, and they are 85%. So we are operating well above the most stringent market in terms of age targeting for a cannabis business. All of the publishers we work with, also their audience composition. So if they're like Newsweek.com, their audience is over 70% 21 plus. All of the publishers we work with, regardless of the nature of their content, need to be able to validate that their first party data, their readers, their gamers, their whatever it is, are 70+% 21 plus. Typically the majority of that 18 plus, that 30% is typically 18 plus. So by the combination of using the right messaging, audience data of adults and publishers who have opted into our exchange partnerships and to our network, we're ensuring we're only hitting adults who are geographically relevant to your offer with a message that is compliant. Next, brand rebates, or the path to conversion rather. This is the bigger one. The notion of seeing an ad, clicking it, and buying something on the first pass is fairly antiquated. So there is a process of investing in that relationship and that's why we want to understand who those different profiles are and why they care about your brand. I tell a lot of CBD brands, like, everyone's got full spectrum organic USA grown. What that's great. And I hope the product is quality. We know there's a pretty wide variance in product quality in CBD, particularly because there's less stringency and regulation as there is in the cannabis market when it comes to product testing. But why does somebody make that first engagement with you? What's going to get their curiosity as to why your brand or their product has enhanced their life? And then what's going to keep them coming back to the site before that first purchase? The notion of ad frequency is something we want to think about. And I'm going to take this back into a localized paradigm, right? Like, let's say I'm a retail business with delivery. I've got billboards, I've got a local audio spot, and then I have my digital running. That's all touches against that audience. So we want to be able to say, of all of our marketing dollars, how many times are we touching this assumed audience that we've quantified within our respective market, and how is that all working against growing our sales? In the e-commerce world, particularly in CBD, it's a crowded, competitive landscape. I would encourage a lot of brands to really focus on organic traffic, the SEO side, through the rest of our services we offer. And then once you get that traffic going, understanding what's working on your page and your funnel, and what offers, what products, what page layout is the best. And then once you understand what's working, using programmatic to supplement that and grow that reach and expand that customer net. The notion of just putting a Wix page up, getting a white label CBD product, and then putting $1,000 into ads or $5,000 into ads and selling and driving success, like we showed previously in this slide, is not necessarily the most true. A lot of those brands had built an organic funnel. They've really worked with us to hone their site, to hone the offer, to hone the product, the incentive. Once those things are all tight, then we use paid media to really, expand that, pretty aggressively. And lastly, for me, brand rebates. I like to put this more in the realm of a single call to action. Why does somebody care? From that first click to that last click. The first time someone wants to learn about your brand, it's not going to be because they get 50% off of a product they have no interest in, they've never heard of before. So maybe that first touch we're saying, hey, like, look how this CBD product helped this cyclist recover or do a cross country ride, right? And we're targeting cyclists. I'm just throwing, just some randomness out. And then we know that cyclist enthusiast went to your page and didn't buy, but then we're driving them back saying, hey, enhance your ride, buy it now. And then they come back, but they didn't buy. And then the next time it's, get 20% off your first purchase, and come watch a video, things of that nature. And Varun and Lauren can kind of drive into some of the more content specific stuff. Thinking about that when you're thinking about who you're talking to, what you're talking about, and then what's the funnel to conversion and what's going to make that person click and buy is really where we add a lot of expertise. And we're going to implore upon you to think about it that way, because the notion of just putting money in and getting money out is not impossible, but there's a lot of prerequisites that need to happen before that is executed. So we're excited to work with all you guys. Varun, Lauren, thank you guys.
Yeah, thanks, Adam. So thanks. And I think last slide is about AM PDT and programmatic advertising. So as Adam has explained, that how we target users, reactions, and based on the data, we can retarget those customers based on the real-time environment that we have, and we have huge data sets and partnerships with ad exchanges where we automate the ads based on the goals that each brand has. So then next is Q&A. So let's discuss if there are any questions. So that let me just open. So Lauren, do you have any questions right now?
I cannot see them, Varun. We're going to have to depend on your screen.
Just let me
just check both the chat and the Q&A.
Yeah, so Sunny Lowe's is asking, how long will it take to see conversion? So Adam, can you answer this question?
Yeah, I would say, so we want to start with typically around a 30-day window, right? And I'm going to answer a bit ambiguously because it really depends on the nature of the vertical and the offer. Localized cannabis is a little bit of a different story than again, an e-commerce CBD brand. We want to have a minimum flight date of 30 days. And we want to take that first 14 to 21 days to see what exactly happens, make optimizations in the creative, make optimizations in what audiences we're targeting, see how far in the page they're making it. Are they just getting to the shop page and dropping? Are the people making it to the cart and dropping off? And then what can we do to tweak that? So at a minimum, we want to start, it will take 30 to 90 days to really get the campaign humming. We need a minimum of at least 21 days to start to aggregate data so that we can say, hey, this is working or this is not working. Because we're going to start with subjective assumptions around who your audience is and what the incentives are and what's going to make them purchase. And then we're going to try to use data to drive objective conclusions as to what will or won't work.
Okay.
I don't know if that answered, Sunny, but yeah, we're happy to kind of review offline specifics around and your type of offer and your campaign. But that's our general rule of thumb is 30 days is a healthy starting point.
Okay, thank you, Adam. And we have another question from Pam, and that is what kind of budget is needed?
Budget is really relevant to when you're looking at it's subjective on what your quantifiable audience is. And I keep saying that, and I hate when I'm a broken record. It depends on who you are. If you're a small medical dispensary in Louisiana that has a viable addressable audience of 10,000 people, it's quite a bit different than a metropolitan or a downtown LA dispensary or delivery service who can be targeting a few million people. That money goes a lot, not nearly as far in those markets. So it's a little bit subjective to a little bit based around your quantifiable audience, the geography you're in. than the commercial minimums that Varun and Lauren work with. But the idea is understanding your desired reach and relevant reach, and then building a plan that works within that.
Yeah, thanks, Adam. So Pam, we can and connect offline, and we can analyze that what kind of what level of um, I would say sale is there or business is there, either the dispensary or you can use more detail on like it's a e-commerce and maybe having a traffic of 5,000 users a month. So it can be a different answer. But if you're a startup or maybe launching a business, it can be a different kind of conversation. So we can have a discussion around it, and we can see that what is something that can be taken as an idle budget for your kind of a brand. So these are some of the testimonials that we got from our clients, some of the brands we're working with. So thank you everybody for your time, and please connect with us for any questions you have, and we'll be happy to answer those or schedule a call to discuss more in detail. Lauren, do you have anything to add before we log off?
Just, we'd love to hear from you, answer your questions about the programmatic ads. We've had some great success with them and would love to help you sell more. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.